Welcome back to LPR's Delivery. In our last lesson, we talked about using discourse markers or fillers. And we see that for a level 4 certification, we need to be able to make limited use of discourse markers or connectors. So today we'll be talking about connectors. Also, for level 5, you need to make appropriate use of these discourse markers or connectors. So, lesson 21, connectors. What is a connector? Well, when we have a response on the exam, it's all one response, and we want it to flow from one to the next to the next to the next, and these connectors connect our ideas. For example, another problem is, on the other hand, or like pilots, controllers have to, or so. These type words are what we call connectors. So our first function of a connector is when we add an idea or when we're doing sequencing. So for example, if the examiner asks, how does weather affect aircraft safety? Well, there's probably many ways in which weather can affect aircraft safety. So heavy rain can decrease visibility, which can cause accidents. Lightning strikes can cause electrical system failures. Notice we can say, first of all, heavy rain can decrease visibility, which can cause accidents. Also, lightning strikes can cause electrical system failures. The point is here that we have two different ways in which weather can affect safety. So here are some phrases you can use to add ideas. To start off, we can say, first of all, to begin with, for one thing, or first. To add next ideas, we can say things like, also, another something is, in addition, or second, or third. Now, notice that these are a bit bigger because they're more natural in spoken English. Saying things like first, second, and third, it's okay, but it's not as natural as using these phrases. Another thing to notice is these commas. When we have a comma in English, that means we're going to pause after we say it. Also, this is going to affect what we call our intonation. Intonation is the musicality of language. Just like in Thai language where you have my. This is intonation. English also uses intonation. So when we use these type phrases, it sounds like this. First of all, to begin with, for one thing, first, also, in addition, second, third. So this type intonation will help to improve not only your fluency, but also your pronunciation score. Let's look at an example. First of all, heavy rain can decrease visibility, which can cause accidents. Also, lightning strikes can cause electrical system failures. We see we can also use these other phrases in the same way. To begin with, for one thing, or another effect is that lightning strikes, or in addition, lightning strikes, etc. Now for our next function is contrast, where two things are opposite or different. If the examiner asks, which is more important to you, the money or the type of job? Now here you have to balance and you kind of have to make a decision, but often we'll talk about both. For example, money is important. I have to support my family. I need a fulfilling job that makes me happy. Well, notice that these are two different ideas and they're kind of in contrast. So we can use these contrast connectors, like but, however, on the other hand. So if we look at this, we could say, money is important. I have to support my family, but I need a fulfilling job that makes me happy. Or, but I need a fulfilling job that makes me happy too. So we notice that we can use but this way in spoken English. Likewise, we could also say, however, money is important. I have to support my family. However, I need a fulfilling job that makes me happy. Or, on the other hand, I need a fulfilling job that makes me happy. Our next function is cause and effect. Often one thing can cause the next thing, and this can cause the next thing. For example, if the examiner asks, what impact, positive or negative, does your job have on your personal life? You might say, as you know, controllers work in shifts. We often have to work nights. This is a cause and effect relationship. We work in shifts, and the effect is have to work nights. So consider using some of these connectors. Because of, due to, so, as a result, therefore. Now notice that because of, and so are highlighted because these are the most common. Due to, as a result, and therefore are okay, but these are usually used in writing more. So let's look at the example again. What impact, positive or negative, does your job have on your personal life? Well, as you know, because controllers work in shifts, we have to work nights. Notice when we say because, we have a full clause. Controllers work in shifts. Subject, verb, or noun, verb. Or, as you know, because of the shift work, we often have to work nights. When we say because of, notice the shift work. Only a noun phrase, no clause. The same is true for due to. Due to the shift work, we often have to work nights. Notice we can also use the effect connector. As you know, controllers work in shifts, so we often have to work nights. Or, as a result, we often have to work nights. Or, therefore, we often have to work nights. We can use all of these. Our next function is giving examples. Examples are very important in your responses because they give you something else to talk about, and talking in general is actually quite difficult. Talking about specific examples is easier and you'll get a higher score. Give a situation or experience where you worked in a team. Well, controllers work as a team every day. Yesterday, I wasn't sure about a pilot's request, so I asked for help from my supervisor. We notice here that we have a general statement, controllers work as a team every day, and then in yellow we see this is a specific example of when this controller worked as a team. So we can use some of these connectors that give examples. For example, or such as. Notice that when we use for example, we follow it by a full sentence or a full clause which has a subject and a verb. But if we use such as, it's only followed by a noun phrase or two noun phrases. It can also be a gerund phrase. So, we see, well, controllers work as a team every day. For example, yesterday I wasn't sure about a pilot's request, so I asked for help from my supervisor. Here we introduce the full example. For another example, what do you do to maintain your health? In my free time, I play lots of sports, such as badminton, volleyball, and basketball. Notice that when we use such as to give examples of types of sports, we only follow by nouns. Badminton, volleyball, basketball. Notice there's no verb. So now we see how these connectors can connect each part of our response to make it cohesive and to make it flow from one section to the next. So let's look at an example where we can put all of these connectors together and have one big nice response. What impact, positive or negative, does your job have on your personal life? Well, first of all, as you know, controllers work in shifts. Because of this, we often have to work nights, so sometimes I get really exhausted. However, I get lots of time off during the week due to the long shifts. As a result, I get to spend time with my kids. That's really important to me because they will only be young for a few more years. So you notice just in this one response, we could use 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 connectors, and it all connects together to make one complete response that flows together nicely from one idea to the next.